fact that this election is between...
They sold farm recently for 100 million.
There's no meaningful development that can happen without peace, without us being united.
Arrest all unregistered vehicles.
I think we have shown the depth and breadth of talent in our Conservative Party.
Because you want to prevent a situation whereby that powdery substance will be flushed immediately.
A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us in another edition of Straight Talk right here on Bright Television, home of talk and entertainment. Don't forget that the program is basically designed to look deep into issues that affect Nigeria as a country and Nigerians as citizens. Welcome to the program. My name is Ayobami Adeyemo. Kindly follow us on our social media platform on Instagram, Facebook, and catch us live on YouTube. Make sure you get your TSTV decoder, channel 102 on TSTV Africa. All right, let's get to some big stories. Yesterday, it's historical for the ruling party, the All Progressive Congress. A huge crowd of the party faithfuls and, of course, supporters were all together at the Sani Abacha Stadium in Kano State for the presidential campaign for the All Progressive Congress, headed by the presidential candidates Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Of course, that rally witnessed over hundreds of thousands of persons. In fact, the report also says that in the city of Kano, streets of Kano, we had over 3 million faithful from that party welcoming Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In his speech, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu said, well, he has nothing to say but to come here and promise them that he will fulfill his promises if elected as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And he says, I'm here to dance. Let's watch it. We'll be back.
domin ga mai girma al'ummar Kano ku ba mai girma Bola Ahmed Tinubu hannu. Mun gode wa Allah.
Well, indeed, a shutdown in Kano State for the ruling party. Still in politics, the 2023 elections, the INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission, has imported additional Vivos machine that will be deployed nationwide in all the polling units for the 2023 election. The commission, which took delivery of the last batch of the machine at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on Tuesday, said that this is in line with their promise to provide free, fair and credible election during this 2023 election. elections. The National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, told pressmen that INEC will deploy over 194,464 BVAS machines in 176,846 polling units across the country. In addition to that, he also called on pressmen to look deeper into what they call breach of provision and sanction in this 2023 election. Let's listen to that. We'll be back.
INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has warned that sanctions await political parties, candidates, public institutions, and the media who breached provisions of the 2022 Electoral Act. He gave a caution in remarks at a sensitization forum for broadcasters and stakeholders on fair and responsible coverage of the 2023 general election organized by the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, in Abuja. Harping specifically on Section 95 of the Electoral Act, Professor Yakubu said the responsibilities of political parties' candidates, the media, and the political institutions are clearly defined, even as sanctions for violations are provided.
While the Commission will continue to deepen its focused engagement with stakeholders, the media play a critical role in ensuring a more effective public enlightenment on the provision of the Electoral Act 2022 in particular, and other aspects of the electoral process in general. Section 95, subsection 2 says, state apparatus, including the media, shall not be employed to the advantage or disadvantage of any political party or candidate at any election. I think this is worth repeating. State apparatus, including the media, shall not be employed to the advantage or disadvantage of any political party or candidate at any election. Failure to comply with the provisions of the law attracts sanctions both against the media organization and its principal officers, as clearly provided in Section 95, subsection 6.
INEC Chairman Professor Yakubu noted that politics is an intensely partisan activity, maintaining that the media and INEC stand for neutrality. He stressed that equitable access to the media for all political parties and candidates is essential to the promotion of issue-based campaigns, and also tasked the media to fact-check stories before going to press.
As campaigns start, the media has a huge responsibility. We have all been talking about issue-based campaigns. I believe that the media has a critical role to play in this respect. Equitable access for all political parties and candidates is essential to the promotion of issue-based campaigns. By doing so, the media will also steer the discussion and engage the candidates away from the mundane to the critical issues that matter to citizens. Consequently, the public will be in a better position to make informed decisions on election day.
The INEC boss further warned that using the power of incumbency to deny opposition parties access to public facilities is illegal. The 2023 general election will be conducted against the background of the new Electoral Act. It is the first time many aspects of the new law will be implemented in a nationwide election. The Commission continues to engage stakeholders and the media on the need to play a critical role in ensuring more effective public enlightenment on the provisions of the new law.
Well, indeed, we hope that INEC will definitely do justice to their promises as they provide free, fair, and credible election in coming days. February 25th is just close by. Well, away from that, the authorities should definitely give significant attention to the health sector. Aside having one of the worst infant mortality rates in the world, Nigeria is the second country with the highest number of people living with HIV and AIDS, the first with the highest number of maltreated children, and of course the highest number of people lacking access to basic primary health care in country Nigeria. Now, many experts have said that the National Assembly members treat health allocations with negligence, and of course they must have a due regard to the critical nature of this sector. Looking at the health sector, and of course promises from different political parties, especially in their manifesto, will it capture a proper health sector in years to come, as we look for the right peg and the right hole, selecting the right president for our federal country, Nigeria. My guests will be discussing this particular issue, especially looking at it from the impact of women, the role of women in the family health care, and of course self-health care. I'll go for a short break. When I return, I'll be introducing my guest on the program this morning to do justice to this conversation. Please stay with us.
Tell you for a fact that this election is between.
They sold farm recently for 100 million.
There's no meaningful development that can happen without peace, without us being united.
Thank you so much for still staying with us. Don't forget, you can follow us on all our social media platforms. Ayobami Adeyemo is my name. We're looking at the role of women in terms of the self-care and of course the family health. That's our conversation on the program today. And to do justice to that, I have beautiful ladies to join me on the program this morning. And of course, I'll be kicking off with the chairman, Association of Lady Pharmacists Abuja chapter, a pharmacist, Niven Bello. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning. And of course, I have pharmacist Fatima Kafarati. She is the financial secretary, Lady Pharmacist Abuja chapter. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, I have pharmacist Esther Iyala. She is the treasurer, Lady Pharmacist Abuja chapter, Association of Lady Pharmacists Abuja chapter. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. I should say compliment of the season.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's look at it from the background. Lots of people have been concerned about the health sector, especially when you think of, the appropriation bill signed by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Apart from that, the budget allocated to the health sector is something that many Nigerians have said, well, it has not really captured what the health sector needs in our country, Nigeria. Let me start with you, the chairman, Association of Lady Pharmacists, of course, Abuja chapter. How do you describe the challenges and of course how the government have been able to address funding in the health sector? Let's kick off from there.
Okay, thank you very much. Nigeria is a populous country, and I believe as much as the government is doing, they still need to do very much more, especially in the health sector. We have so many sectors they need to handle as a government, but the health, without health, you actually don't have the livelihood the strength, the nutrition, the capability to do other things that you want to do in life. So it's something the government needs to put in more attention, put in more funding to their budget for health. Because health is wealth, health is life. Whatever you're chasing, if you're not healthy, you can't do it. So Nigerian government needs to do more. I want to appeal to them to do much more to the health, starting from the family unit and then to other aspects of where we could access quality healthcare, at least decent enough for every citizen of the country. And Nigeria is capable. They can afford it. Indeed, Nigeria is capable and we can afford it. Let me cross to the financial, because it's all about money now. We're keeping up with the money now. And of course, I have the treasurer here. Statistics shows that we have one of the worst infant mortality rates in the world. That means, children are dying regularly on a daily basis. And of course, it's not new that even we don't have access to proper primary health sector, care in our country, Nigeria. Is that not something worrisome?
Very worrisome. In fact, this reminds me, in December, I was in Sokoto for a different activity, and there was an outreach program to the VVF center in Sokoto. The sad part of course, we know all victims of VVF are young women that have had a problem with obstructed labor at one point in time, which has led to their condition. So you need to be able to provide adequate health care for these women, because most of them come from the rural areas, and a lack of a proper health care center in the rural areas cause most of these problems. You can have situations where families are not even able to afford the transport to bring these women to town for delivery. So some women will be in labor for 10 days, 11 days, and of course, this is an obstructed labor, so it will not progress and the delivery will not happen. By the time they are finally able to come to the hospital, most of them will come up with this condition. It's a very difficult condition to manage, and it affects the family cycle negatively. Why? Because automatically the primary caregiver is the patient.
The mother.
So exactly, the mother is the patient. In a lot of cases, it happens maybe during even first deliveries. But if you look at it as a young woman starting a family, you may be in a joint family system. You are responsible for taking care of your husband, your in-laws, who are probably at that point elderly. So by the time you fall sick, the whole family system is affected. Then it comes to the area of stigmatization. You have this condition, nobody wants to stay with you. You end up being shipped off to the hospital. Everybody wants to abandon you. You realize that in most cases, the parents, her own parents, will have to be the one to step up. Most probably her mother. So you can see that it has a ripple effect. It is affecting both the marital home and the home of birth. Yes. So her mother is busy taking care of her, and then she is neglecting maybe her siblings and her other family members. And then at the other point, if they are elderly, nobody to take care of them. So it brings so many complications. And when you talk about mortality, infant mortality, yes, there is a lot of infant mortality because malnutrition is very rampant in Nigeria. When a mother is malnourished, there is no way she will be able to transfer these necessary nutrients to her child. When a mother herself is sick, the body may not be able to transfer these necessary nutrients to the child. So of course, by the time the delivery comes, the child is already coming into the world with a lot of complications as a result of the condition of the mother during the gestation period. So it is very necessary that we give a lot of attention to maternal health, because if you don't have a healthy mother, there is no way you will have a healthy child. So it is a continuum. You have to make provision for one in order to get another.
Well, indeed, well said. Thank you so much for that. And I'll cross to pharmacist Esther Yala. Definitely, she has given us a little understanding, but let's stick to the role women play, especially when it comes to self-care, family health care too, and many other things. Now, we've noticed, even if you blame the government, we still have roles to play. Now, and the women, like what she said, they play a major role in making sure that there's health in the family. Now, let's talk about the self-care now. What are the things we should do as women that will help boost really strong health care?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. It is true that the burden of taking care of the family rests most of the time on the shoulders of the women. And like the chairperson said, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So you have to take out time as a woman to fill yourself up in order to be strong enough, both physically, both emotionally, both mentally, to take care of the other members of the family. And it's very important for her to do things, engage in activities, that are geared towards relaxing her and refueling her and re-energizing her, so that she can bring her A game in taking care of the family. Because taking care of the family has to do with a lot of things. Okay, starting from making the nutritional decisions in order to nourish the members of the family to function optimally. She has to decide what foods to cook. She has to decide what groups of food. She has to decide how to best manage the resources that are made available to her in order to bring the best forward for her family. So it takes a whole lot of toll on her. And you know, she has to now create that time. And when I talk about self-care, it doesn't have to be anything grand, you know. It can just be as little as taking out time to rest, taking out time to meditate, and also if you can do some form of journaling, it helps a lot to just, you know, take the stress off you. You just take everything, both emotionally that's been disturbing you, off your mind in a form of a journal. It helps a lot. Then sleep also. A lot of women sacrifice their sleeps in order to make the family run optimally. Like for example, the women who just put to bed, like they have to sacrifice their sleeps at night. They can't get the 8 hours, which is the number of hours recommended
for adults.
For us, yes, to function optimally. So we have this sleep burden, you know, you are not sleeping enough and all of that. She has to also take time to exercise because our bodies are designed to move, you know, and she has to take that little time. She'll be like, I don't have time, I'm doing this, I'm cooking, I'm going for school runs, I'm going to work, I'm very busy, I don't have time to exercise. And as little as exercise seems, it can prevent a whole lot of diseases, metabolic diseases, if engaged in properly. And it doesn't have to be going to the gym. It can be as little as doing 10 minutes or 20 minutes in your room, using a YouTube video or any kind of exercise indoor available to you. It can prevent you from having hypertension. It can prevent you from having type 2 diabetes because it helps your body to become more sensitive to insulin. It can help bring down your triglyceride levels, like your cholesterol level and all of that. So it just helps you, even improves your mood. Exercise has been shown to be a very potent antidepressant because when you exercise, endorphins, the feel-good hormones, are released into your bloodstream.
So you feel active,
you feel happy, you know, and you forget all the stressors around you, you know, so and all of that. So
indeed, thank you. You've said a lot about, you know, exercising, and you know, one thing came to my mind as we were talking. You talked about journal, you talked about a lot of things, but for some persons that are probably in, you know, in the rural area, they don't even have an understanding of a journal, and all they hear is Omugo. My mom is here to do Omugo, so they are, you know, engaged with different activities.
There are
I know you want to
many
add to
other
that.
things. There are many other things you could do at any stage in life. You know, maybe our grandmas then. God made us as social beings, and you know, like some theories will say, women were made to live in clusters. You know, this talk is a therapy on its own. So when you see some people chatter, I'm not just saying gossip, the negative side of talk, but the quote says, a problem shared is a problem half solved. So you imagine when you talk, you actually distress. So even if they didn't write then, they chatted. And the talk they had was actually passed on as oral tradition. Some stories we hear now are what our mothers, our grandmothers had passed on talking. They didn't write them, but they passed it on to children, grandchildren. You remember when grandmas used to put children around and give them stories? They were doing therapy to themselves.
That's therapy.
So talking, and then they didn't need to have YouTube channels. They went to the farm, they went to get firewood. They had more than their 10,000 steps in a day. You know, the grinding they would do on the stove, the pounding they would do on the mortar and pestle. Man, I don't think there was any other gym that would have been just around the house and in the bushes. So they had what it is. They were eating green, they were eating whole foods, not processed. They were eating per day. They were eating organic foods. You know, you just go to the backyard, fetch and cook. It's finished maybe highest in the morning when you like just warm and eat and go back, and then you start again. They didn't have freezers, or let's not just talk of what technology maybe has contributed to cancers and other kind of diseases we keep now, and processing of foods, just because our lives have gotten busier. But then for every side there are different strokes for different folks.
Wow. Indeed, interesting conversation, I must say. And of course, Nigerians are also watching. They're interested in this particular discussion today. You know, it affects Nigeria and it affects Nigerians. If we don't have a healthy family, we can have a healthy society. Let me cross to you, pharmacist Fatima Kafarati. You talked about, you mentioned some few things, but I want us to still stick to, you know, self-care now. They've talked about, you know, the physical health, exercising and many other things. But apart from that, we know mental health is very critical. Now, if a mother is not strong enough to handle the home mentally, it will also tell on the children. In fact, I think you were sharing with me, a research shows that a child below 5 years, if that child lost a mother or does not have a mother care, that means within 2 years we might also lose such child. And it's very important to have a mother that is strong both physically and mentally. Talk more on that.
That's true. Thank you for that question. Well, yes, mental health is very important. Okay, so I just want to give a little example. Like my kids, sometimes they will do something and then I'll ask, why didn't you tell me? Say, Mommy, I don't want you to get angry. That has affected their mental health. So you know that anger automatically leads a child to hide mistakes. And as as the child grows, these mistakes will keep compounding themselves. So now imagine, as the mother, you have to now ask yourself, okay, so what causes that anger? Because anger is a mental state, right? So for you to get into that state, you know the triggers if you are healthy. Now, for example, if this mother happens to be a person that is mentally ill, she may not even realize it. So you end up taking out your frustrations, your anger. Maybe you went to work, you had a challenge with a colleague, you come back home, and all the anger you could not take out in the office because there are policies that are laid down. You have to behave in a certain way with other people. But then, because you don't have adequate control over your mental health, when you get to the house, you transfer the aggression to your husband, you transfer the aggression to your children. So that definitely affects the family cycle, because you end up with scared children. They would rather go stay in their room. They are not happy to see mom because they don't even know exactly what will trigger you. Okay, so we have to condition ourselves to do that, and to be able to do that, we have to also be of sound mind. She mentioned nutrition. Nutrition plays a very important role in maintaining a balance. Because these nutrients, they say we need vitamin this, we need this, we need that, they are all playing a role in maintaining the integrity of various parts of in the body, including the brain and the nervous system. So when you have a stable mental health, you will be able to portray that stability to your husband. He goes to work, he comes out, he's also stressed. But like we said, the major role lies with the women. So you have to be the one to take a bigger role in terms of maintaining peace and harmony in the home.
So in addition to what she has said, I think that women, Africans in general, it's very important for us to normalize therapy. When you are talking about mental health, a lot of us, like in Nigeria, we are not mentally okay, but you wouldn't know because you know there's a stigma.
That's a question, because I've had this conversation. A lot of people say Nigerians are not mentally okay. What is the problem?
You know, if you see some people like the outcast,
but we are the happiest human being on earth, according to some research.
Like,
then
just some little thing, you know, just triggers them, and you see all sorts. And also, I think Nigerians should normalize therapy. It's okay. There should be no stigma attached to, okay, I'm getting therapy,
taking care of your mental health.
Taking care of your mental health. You should pay for it and get therapy. It makes a whole lot of difference. You know, most of us, when we face challenges, the first thing we do is pray about it. and if it doesn't go away, we sweep it under the carpet. When you go through things emotionally, you should create time, create an avenue, get a therapist, iron these things out, get therapy, so that those things leave you, so that you don't even transfer them to your children. Like some women who, you know, just shout at their children. It's not their fault. They don't even know that they need help. So they have to do something
they also grew with.
Yes, you have to be intentional about your mental health.
What's your to that?
Let me just add a little. They've all spoken very well. I just want to say, in essence, you see the stigma we're all talking about. It's because we live in societies, we live in communal societies that discriminate some kind of things. Mental health, we can't unbundle everything here. But then, if you want to know that there are many categories of mental health, and you know, maybe, let's say in our setting, they'll just say, you're mad. And everybody just thinks that if you go for therapy, you're posted to the psychiatric hospital. Your case is really serious that has to go to the hospital. Therapy doesn't have to be like being confined on a bed. No. So you see, this talk therapy is part of therapy. But if you have it from a qualified psychologist or therapist, you get the best outcome of it. And then you actually curb the ripple effect on the people around you,
the society,
because we're social beings, and you affect everybody. Imagine if you have a drug abuse patient. It's not only that patient that suffers. You have siblings who, in theory, we call them scapegoats. They suffer the repercussion of this stigma that is around you as a drug addict. Your parents suffer. Forget the financial, economical problems everybody goes through. Everybody goes through a psychological problem. So eventually, in drug abuse therapy, we would have to have family therapy. So because everybody will have to unbundle what individually everybody is going through. Some people will call it disappointment, some people will call it shame, some people are trying to enable to hide, you know, and in every way. That's why you see most times when we have those issues, it actually is bad when it comes out to the public, because we had been covering. We have been covering. So there's a lot
to talk about indeed.
And the woman is the thermostat, like she said.
Well, I'm going to go for a break. We'll go for a break, and of course I'll use that one. The women are very important when it comes to the family, the structure, the society, and of course health sector in our country. The impact is what we cannot overemphasize. Definitely. We'll go for that short break. When we return, I have my guests in the studio with me. We'll be looking at the impact women have made so far in the health sector, and of course we'll still stick to the self-care and family health care at the same time on this conversation. Stay with us. We're back. Don't go away.
Tell you for a fact that this election is between.
They sold farm recently for 100 million.
There's no meaningful development that can happen without peace, without us being united.
Arrest all unregistered vehicles.
I think we have shown the depth and breadth of talent in our Conservative Party.
Because you want to prevent a situation whereby that powdery substance will be flushed immediately.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us on today's breakfast show. Surround yourself with people that motivate you.
Tell you for a fact that this election is between.
They sold farm recently for 100 million.
There's no meaningful development that can happen without peace, without us being united.
Arrest all unregistered vehicles.
I think we have shown the depth and breadth of talent in our Conservative Party.
Because you want to prevent a situation whereby that powdery substance will be flushed immediately.
Tell you for a fact that this election is between.
They sold farm recently for 100 million.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Still Straight Talk right here on Bright Television, and we'll talk and entertainment. Well, we've been doing justice to the role women play, especially in terms of self-care and, of course, family health care, and, of course, in the health sector at large in Nigeria. And I have my guests in the studio with us, the pharmacists. I have pharmacist Nevin Bello. She's the chairman, Association of Lady Pharmacists, Abuja chapter. And, of course, I have pharmacist Fatima Kafarati. She's the financial secretary of the Association of Ladies Pharmacists Abuja chapter, and pharmacist Esther Iyala. She is also the treasurer of Association of Lady Pharmacists Abuja chapter. They are all a fellow of West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists and member West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us on the program. You know, when I said ladies, now I now remember the Minister of Finance when she was actually addressing press. She said, gentlemen of the press, and she now remembered, well, we should also have gentle ladies of the press. Now, in pharmacists, of course, in your sector, do you have gentlemen of the pharmacists or ladies of the pharmacists?
We're all men of honor.
Yes,
men of
that's the irony. There are no women in pharmacy.
Anyway,
we are all men of honor.
Yes. Anyway, let's get to talk about this conversation more. I understand the impacts women play in the health sector. In fact, you cannot overemphasize the fact that you play a very vital, major role in that. Let's talk about it. How far with this recognition? Have you been recognized effectively? Let me start with you, the chairman.
Speaking for ourselves.
Yes.
Well, it's good enough that we're allowed, or we have the privilege to serve on the same platform with all our colleagues. And women are doing much, and since it's not hidden, we are not discriminated. We don't have roles that we can't rise to, or positions that we can't rise to as women in the health sector. And I'm sure nobody will deny that. Anyway, you put a woman, there's no gain saying that she will do as much as, she will do much more than you put her there to do. Whether it's in research, like we in the pharmacy sector, we have the research we have the research unit, the industry. We have women in the community pharmacy. We have women in the hospital, in administration, and you can name it. So women are doing well, but women can be given more roles. I'm sure those in politics will say, okay, that's another topic.
That's another percentage is there for them.
Yes.
Okay,
I think it's coming up.
All right. Well, it's coming up. Let's let me have your take on that. I've seen many places where they say, "Oh, okay, this job is for men. This job is for women." And when it comes to health, probably they always say nurses. Your sister profession. Now they say nurses, and of course the pharmacists too. They say, "Oh, you can go there because you're a woman." Is that what prompts the impact that women play in your sector, basically?
Well, thank you very much. Well, this issue is a very broad one, and I think that the women have a lot of odds against them. For example, like, you could have a job, the man gets paid higher than the woman for doing the same job with the woman. Do Do you understand? So we have a lot of things we are trying to fight our way through. Be it like, oh, the woman, she's not bringing like enough. She has to still balance that with the home front. You know.
So a lot of challenges that comes with your profession, and the profession does not. They don't actually give you what you deserve.
Yes, they don't give us. So I think they should do more. Like, you know, there shouldn't be this judgment like, oh, she's a woman, she shouldn't get that position. You know,
discrimination.
Yes, discrimination. So the society should help us, the government should help us. For example, some people, like maybe you introduce yourself as Dr. Somebody, you know, and they call, you pick up the call, and they said, oh, I thought it was a man, like, are you the person they are talking about? You know, so they are even surprised that a woman can be a doctor, a pharmacist or something. But it's less with like the nursing and the pharmacy sector. It's more with like the doctors and all. So I think the society should help, the government should help to reduce this prejudice and everything against them, because we have a lot we are fighting against to maximize ourselves in the health sector.
I know you want to add to that, and of course I want to take you to, you know, let's look at it from the northern part of regional part of Nigeria now. A lot of, you know, campaigning towards, you know, girl-child education, and basically, you know, people have said, these, but now we are moving out of that, you know, old age to realize that we must empower women, especially like you all said. You know, you educate a woman, you educate a nation. You build a woman, you build a nation. What's it like in Nigeria, of course, from northern part? Let's look at it.
Well, I believe the health sector has been kind to women. That is what I would say. Why? Because especially in the north, the cultural barriers that discourage against girl-child education. So what you see is that a lot of the parents that are coming out of this era want to still remain some form of conservativeness. So therefore, they don't want to be open to their girl child just going to school to study just any course. Why don't be an engineer, don't be a pilot, you know, although of course don't be in the military and all that. But the health sector provides a bridge, a safe haven for these young ladies, very bright young women. They can study to become health workers, they can study to be nurses, they can study to be pharmacists, they can study to be doctors, lab scientists, because they are all in the health sector, and you know, it gives a sense of security. So, well, there is improvement, you know, because we are getting pilots, we are getting that. So I believe of all the sectors, health sector has been the most kind to women. And I want to say something. I know this issue of lower pay for women is not really applicable in Nigeria. That's the truth. In developed world, yes, it has happened. It's still happening in some places. But you know, in Nigeria, especially in the government sector, which is the major employer of labor in the country, so you see that when they are employing you, they are not employing you as a person. Well, maybe in terms of employment, there may be times where we feel that the population of women per batch of employment may not necessarily be what we want. But when it comes to the remuneration, there is actually not I haven't heard of any discrimination.
Yes, it's the formal sector.
Yeah, exactly.
More in the informal sector.
Yes. So, and then when in terms of in terms of career development, women are actually doing well.
Yes.
They are doing well. In fact, the youngest neurosurgeon in Africa, she's a South African. I just saw a documentary a few weeks back. Is a woman. Yeah, and you know, so to attain that elite position at such a young age, and still being a woman and still having a family and all that. So the actually some of the barriers we have to women are mental. They are not. Yeah. Because there is this belief that a woman cannot do this. As a woman, I shouldn't do this. As a woman, I cannot do this. So once you take down that barrier, all you need to do, you know yourself.
Yes.
Once you know yourself, and then set boundaries. Boundaries are very important in everything you do.
That's true.
You know yourself. You set boundaries for yourself, and as long as you don't go outside those boundaries, then there is nothing stopping you.
That's true.
Well, interesting conversation indeed. You know, I wonder, that's why most times you just want to wonder why we have how many Mother's Day in a year, how many Women's Day in a year.
Even for the girl child,
we
have to celebrate the women.
Every now and then.
We celebrate the girl
child every year in October.
We empower them to.
Interesting indeed. Well, the conversation is so smooth this morning, but you know, I will not do justice to it if we don't address the issue of, you know, they call it Japa syndrome now. You know, meanwhile, indication has shown that due to, you know, lack of job, you know, fulfillment, and of course, you talked about remuneration, inadequate remuneration in places of work. We've seen many people, many Nigerians, you know, move out of this sector, the health sector. How do we solve it? How do we bring them back home? Let me start from you.
You know, I was listening to a conversation some days ago that there's almost nowhere in the world that has adequate health workers. And anywhere that has a better call to give you what you could balance life and work, people tend to get attracted to that. And that's because, unfortunately, we're in a developing country where basic necessities of life are not met. So from your remuneration, you actually pay for those things. Let's not begin to number everything. But when you go to where societies work, where some of those things are already handled, you can breathe while being paid and settle on
and save a lot and do many things.
And do other things. And then security, fortunately, many other reasons why people. And see, those countries need health workers. You see what I'm saying? There's no country that has the ratio of patient to a healthcare worker that has been balanced. The person that was talking said, I think it was only Cuba that had attained it at a point. But they too, after a while, started sending their own healthcare workers to other countries to bring in the foreign exchange back into their countries. So, if you ask, how do you get people back? You have to make the environment conducive enough. Make it attractive enough to want to stay. If people tend to move to where they're appreciated than where they're tolerated. So if here doesn't move well, people may tend to move. If the area here gets more attractive, better comfortable, they have security, they can work and be happy that they are working, they would stay.
Well, indeed, brain drain has been a big issue, especially in the health sector. Just a few seconds, I know you want to add to that, just a few seconds, maybe 40 seconds, let's talk about that.
Okay, in addition to what she has just said, I think looking at the big picture, it just has to do with a country that is working. We just need a better
environment,
government. You know, governance in Nigeria is just child's play. If the country is working, nobody will think about leaving his fatherland, you know, his motherland, and going somewhere else to become a second citizen. So let the country work, let the security system work. Some days ago I was reading about a medical doctor who was shot dead while attending to a patient in Delta State. For just delivering your duties, you are not even safe. So that's why many people are leaving. But if the country is working, I think most of them will come back.
Definitely. Well, we have a few days to decide who will be the next president, and of course the country, Nigeria. I know you want to add to that. 40 seconds, let's go.
Well, we just want to say that whoever the next president becomes should make healthcare sector a huge priority. And by healthcare structure, we mean healthcare infrastructure. We need healthcare infrastructure on ground, because we have the talent, we have the people, and that are willing to work. However, when there is no infrastructure, you just want to something that should take you 30 minutes, you end up doing it in 3 hours. By the time you just peep and look at the line of patients waiting for you, you are demoralized. So you end up working 36 hours, and then you don't rest. Of course you will collapse at some point, and you may not be able to give your best to the patient. And do remember, when anybody you are attending to, you are treating two ailments, a physical and possibly a mental. Not necessarily an established mental illness. It could be the depression coming from as a result of the disease, the financial worries of what I'm going to spend to treat myself, get myself out of this disease. You know, so many things. So if you are not able to, you know, make the patient feel safe, if you are not feeling safe, how do you make the next person feel safe enough to embrace the treatment you are giving and be able to, improve the quality of their lives. So we need to build healthcare infrastructure in Nigeria.
Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much for this conversation. I believe that this hour or this minutes will not do justice to that. Probably we need to, talk more on how to do things well. All right, thank you once again. I have been having conversation with pharmacist Evan Bello. She's the chairman, Association of Ladies Pharmacists, Abuja chapter, and of course, pharmacist Fatima Kafarati. She is the financial secretary, Association of Ladies Pharmacists, Abuja chapter, and pharmacist Esther Yala. She is the treasurer, Association of Lady Pharmacists, Abuja chapter, and all of them a fellow of West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists, and of course member West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists. Indeed, we cannot overemphasize the impact that women have been able to add to the health sector in our country, Nigeria. We just hope we'll get it right. Like I always tell you, I keep telling you, when you play your part, I play my part, we have a better place called the Federal Republic of Nigeria. On behalf of everyone that's been part of this production, especially Larry Jemmy, who has facilitated this, thank you so much. And I will say thank you. We have a peaceful society, by God's grace, come 20, after the elections anyway, indeed. My name is Ayobami Ademo. God bless you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Tell you for a fact that this election is between.
They sold farm recently for 100 million.
There's no meaningful development that can happen without peace, without us being united.
Arrest all unregistered vehicles.
I think we have shown the depth and breadth of talent in our Conservative Party.
Because you want to prevent a situation whereby that powdery substance will be flushed immediately